one. Kia ora koutou, malo lele. I'm Teresa Patterson. I'm the chair of the New Zealand Music Managers Forum, and welcome to another Music Industry Hui. The topic today is around our live industry, and now that we're at level 1, what will the next 6 months to a year look like? But before we start, I'd like to thank all of the organisations who have helped make this Hui possible: the New Zealand Music Commission, Recorded Music, APRA AMCOS, New Zealand On Air, and the New Zealand Music Managers Forum. On the panel today, we have some of Aotearoa's top promoters and festival bookers. I would like to welcome and extend a very warm welcome to Mitch Lowe from Bay Dreams, Dave Munro from Eccles Entertainment, Clayton Spence from Electric Avenue, Mark Kneebone from Laneway and Live Nation, Renee Hermsen from Live Nation, Gavin Downie from Music and Parks, Alex Turnbull from Rhythm and Alps, Hamish Pinkham and Dylan Cherry from Rhythm and Vines, and Brian and Naomi Ruawai from Soundsplash. Welcome to you all, and much thanks for you all taking time out of your busy schedules to be part of this Hui. To you out there who are watching, if you have any questions, please just ask them via the chat on the Facebook Live and YouTube, and we will try and answer as many of them as we can throughout the seminar. So starting off, level 1, we've only been in it for a few weeks, and in that time, there has been a lot of gigs and tours announced, starting from next month. Mark, was it hard to pull that all together? I mean, you've announced an arena tour and some great shapeshifter gigs, amongst others.
It was more of a challenge to make sure the audience was ready for it than us. Obviously, we've had time to prepare, and there's been a lot of preparation, both as just our company, but also across the industry to kind of get ready for this moment. So luckily, the acts we've been working with, Renee and I, like Benny and Shapeshifter, have been ready to go. And then it was much more making sure the audience were ready. So we did a whole lot of smaller shows at the Tuning Fork at 100 cap, 150 cap, to kind of test the water and make sure things like, you know, COVID protocols and stuff were in place. So that was kind of the key point to start with, was getting the audience ready.
When you say audience ready, that was obviously around whether people were, after being in lockdown, were ready to come out and be in a, you know, mass gathering or a show with other people. How did you find that? Were the audiences totally receptive to that?
What we've seen over the last month, yeah, people really want to get out. They want to engage. They want to see their friends. But anything aimed kind of 18 to 30, way less concerned. But anything kind of above that, below that, there's been a lot more hesitancy. So I think it's too early to say how it's going. It's positive, but there's still a long way to go before we kind of know where this is going to land.
Hamish and Dylan, you guys have announced a seminar summit, and also I saw a DJ lineup as well. Was that hard to pull together really quickly, or again, was it something that you had in the works leading up to level 1?
Yeah, our team had a short break at the start of the isolation, but then we've kind of been working behind the scenes to get ready for level 4. Probably came a bit earlier than anticipated, but yeah, we've been scrambling around, pulling favours, coming up with concepts to bring to the market for kind of quarters, 3 and 4. And, we think there's a real appetite for the industry to continue. People want to do things, artists want to perform. Contractors want to work. So yeah, we're just looking at ways we can plug in. We've got a couple of shows at Spark Arena in October. We've got a kind of heritage dance evening on the Friday, and then a drum and bass night on the Saturday. Both have been received really well. It just shows there is appetite out there for entertainment. Yeah, we've got the Phoenix Summit next week. Again, it's a chance just to get some like minds in the room and talk about where the industry's going and get people out and about again and communicating with each other to help grow the industry going forward.
Dave, you guys announced the Dudes rescheduled dates before we went into level 1. You obviously were quite confident at that period that we were going to be at level 1. Have there been other tours that you've had to reschedule that you're going to be announcing soon?
No, the dudes is actually Brent's baby. But, you know, I think that we were always pretty confident we could do it, being that it is a local thing. But, you know, there's always uncertainty. Even now, I guess we don't know what's going to happen in 2 to 3 months. You know, we're all hoping that it'll be fine. But no, that's the only one that we've rescheduled to date. We've still got some shows that were due in December, a few international things that haven't been rescheduled yet, but probably will. But no, the Dudes was the only one for us to date.
There've been some festivals that are already on sale with no lineups. R&V, I see Bay Dreams, One Love. How have the ticket sales been around the fact that you have announced or you've gone on sale without any lineups, and also knowing that it's probably going to be a New Zealand Australia lineup? Mitch.
Yeah, Teresa, so far so good. We've had a really good run the last couple weeks. I've had Mardi Gras. I mean, I've already changed the lineup to a Kiwi lineup and sold out, which is you know, credit to Kiwis. It feels like everyone's going pretty hard on the tickets at the moment, which has been great to see after a tough few months. But as for, I mean, Bay Dreams we're looking to announce in a couple of weeks. So that's that sort of event. We do like to get the lineup out before we get the tickets on sale. So that's definitely with an event of that scale. However, everything else is the hype is absolutely there. Honestly, more than ever. Is what we're finding at the moment. So it's quite exciting times, even though it has been, you know, pretty dire couple months.
And Hamish, did I read somewhere that you are 90% sold out for Rhythm and Vines?
Yeah, we are. We're in quite a unique position. We put the tickets on sale in January, and you know, we've had some good momentum the last few years. And I think, you know, Rhythm and Vines is in a unique position where we're you know, it's an experience we're selling. Music's one part of the recipe. It's a very important part, but, you know, it's the road trip, it's the camping. We've had, you know, some great festivals the last few years. So tickets went on sale in January. The campground sold out, and we've had, you know, some good pre-sales prior to COVID. But yeah, I agree with Mitch. I think people just want to get back out there and attend these events. I mean, everyone's they realise we're not going to be able to get the big touring acts in. So we're lucky we've got some fantastic talent in the country to promote. And, you know, Rhythm and Vines is you know, made a decent attempt at booking the Kiwi talent for this year's event. And I think people will just be happy with attending anything given the last few weeks.
And the other thing is that Rhythm and Vines has always been a big supporter. Rhythm and Vines has always been a big supporter of New Zealand music, and the international part of the lineup is in the minority. So it's not that much of a shift for us to look at just Australia or New Zealand, or even just New Zealand, and we'd be super proud to do it.
Oh, that's awesome. I've got a few questions actually, so I'm going to get to some of these. One of the questions is, are summer festivals going to be all New Zealand and Australia acts, or are you exploring the option of quarantining international acts before they play? Alex, I know that you're announcing your lineup in a week. Was that a consideration for you?
Everything's a consideration. I think, I mean, early on, once this COVID scenario appeared, we made a conscious decision to hold back until you know, to sort of says what it might look like. And now we know that we've all been given the go-ahead to go out and enjoy ourselves. You know, we made a decision that New Zealanders love their own, and we've made a decision to book predominantly a 90% New Zealand's bill, and then on that first announced, then to sort of see where we go with the Ministry of Health, and if we have an opportunity to add Australian artists or artists from further abroad, we'll have the ability to do so. But I think that, you know, we've got to all be sort of realistic what we're facing here, that we're lucky to be able to do anything. So we're looking forward to basically doing a predominantly New Zealand celebration this New Year's Eve.
Brian and Naomi, what about you? Are you looking at predominantly Kiwi, potentially Australia, or would you be exploring the option of quarantining international acts before they play?
Definitely got a strong focus on local acts. We had a couple of lineouts. We had a bit of a hybrid between international and local when there was like lots of uncertainty. So just echoing what everyone else has said, we're fully behind New Zealand music. I see it's a great opportunity to program those acts, and yeah, that's pretty much our focus for next year for Soundsplash. We have explored, internationals. Maybe they could, isolate or whatever, but we won't really know what that's going to look like. But definitely our focus is local, and there's a lot of local acts out there. So that's good news for young and up and coming artists. And we have already programmed some already, and so that's good.
Mark and Renee, Live Nation, 90 to 95% of your business is international acts. So is that something that you guys are looking at?
Yeah, definitely, if I can answer that. I mean, we're way more focused on, of course, like everyone else. And also for our festival, for some of our festivals, it means that we are maybe not going ahead this year or in this season, but thankfully the others can still proceed on an Australia-New Zealand lineup. So, but yeah, touring wise, there's definitely a way bigger focus for on domestic and on Australian talent. Yeah, which is actually really exciting.
It is really exciting, actually. I think it's a great time for the discovery of new artists out there. And that leads to another question. Well, there's a few questions along this line where it's kind of like, are you willing to take more of a punt on local acts and talent, especially with the up-and-comers on your lineups this summer? Clayton, is that something that you're looking at doing?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a few different shows that I'm working on, and we definitely looking. I mean, the thing with Electric Avenue is that we always take a punt on some sort of up and coming artist. That's always been the kind of kaupapa of Electric Avenue, is that there's always kind of at least sort of 2 or 3 spaces for up and comers and that's for international and local, and that's for artists that I kind of know not many people or nobody's really heard of. So yeah, that's always been the music discovery has always been a big part of Electric Avenue for sure. So yes, we are doing that, definitely.
Gavin, Music and Parks, obviously you've usually had a huge array of local acts, from beginner acts to more established acts play over summer, and I'm anticipating that your budget is going to be cut. So how is this going to affect your ability to put on Music and Parks this summer?
For those people that aren't aware what Music and Parks is, it's an Auckland Council regionally funded series of free music events. There's the Music and Parks series, Movies and Parks, that run sort of at the same time at the moment, because if anyone's seen the newspaper, Auckland Council is sitting on about 550 million deficit for the next financial year. So all of our budgets across the whole arts, the whole of council has been losing, cut their budgets. So my budget is looking like I'm losing about $250,000 to $270,000. So it's leaving me about $50,000 to put on as many shows as I can. So we've really just kind of taken the initiative to look at what we've been doing, reshuffle, reinvent it, reinvigorate it. We're doing in the past where we might have been pushing along a lot more kind of band lineups. We're looking if we can just book 2 DJs to get a bunch of people out to a park to really feel some good vibes on a summer's day. We'll do that. So, we're kind of bending our own rules a bit just so we can kind of pull something out. For us, I think in council, unlike a lot of you guys who are, professional promoters, different side, we're kind of our direction, our basis is, using ratepayers' money to give them something back again. And it's kind of in a good way because we're, in a lot of ways, we're stepping away from what a lot of you other promoters are doing. We're stepping out of that space of the big scale, big artist, 8,000, 10,000 people events. So we're working back on a kind of smaller, more direct kind of thing, going to a lot more small gigs, taking them all across the communities that really need them, and just kind of working on that. Yeah, I mean, like everyone else is doing, working on that lifting morale again, coming out of recovery, and just kind of giving people a, that kind of sense of community again. Everyone's been a bit isolated and people feeling a bit on their own. So we're forging ahead, but we're on a shoestring budget now. So we're being nimble and adapting where we can every day and seeing what we can still pull out. But I've kind of looked at the focus of, I've scaled back production costs, so I don't have to scale back artist fees. I don't have huge fees, but I'm not looking to lessen the fees that I would normally pay my bands, but I can do it with, some smaller PAs that the council already has. And for the audience people turning up just for an escape for a weekend, they maybe won't know, the difference between one brand of a PA or another. So I think, we've just adapted where we can.
I mean, and it's interesting actually about scaling back production, because that was something I wanted to ask about, the infrastructure of our industry. I mean, we're lucky to have had the wage grant, et cetera, and there is some good funding coming up. But are you at all worried that our infrastructure is not going to be around, that there's going to be production companies that are not going to survive coming through COVID, and also that there's going to be a lack of crew because they're going to have to be forced to find other jobs to pay their bills?
Yeah,
Dave.
I mean,
oh, sorry, Gavin, go.
No, I was just going to say definitely. I already know just through a group on Facebook that there's already been layoffs in the production community straight away. There was a lot of staff, a lot of really well-known, established sound engineers, people that worked in different companies that were all laid off. There's a lot of the kind of the gig economy, a lot of the loaders and stuff, production crew, roadies, who are all finding it tough. So that's my bit. Over to Dave.
Oh, Dave, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I agree with Gavin. I mean, I guess these shows that are in the pipeline in the near future, in the coming months, with all these promoters, are a really positive thing. Because if we are looking at shows in December, if all of our shows were in December, then the production side of the industry would be in dire straits, because these people don't get paid until the shows are done. So, the fact that a lot of these shows have popped up so early is a real positive for all these production companies, for all the crew, for all the Kiwi crews, all the loaders, for the industry on a whole. I think it's really positive, and we are really lucky to be in the position we're in. We're the only country in the world that's doing this. So I think the sooner we can get these shows up and running, the better.
I've got a question for you, Hamish and Dylan. Do you as organisers feel more of a shift towards supporting upcoming smaller bands, i.e. on the Garden Stage, at Rhythm of Vines, and all your all-Kiwi lineups?
We've always supported up-and-coming bands. That's what the Garden Stage is for. If you have been to the festival, we've put a stage kind of fits about 1,000 to 2,000 people in a really lovely area of the festival. And for the last 3 or 4 years, it has been a kind of like introduction to playing at the festival, sort of like the first level that you want to kind of graduate from. And we've seen acts go from Garden Stage to Main Stage in the last couple of years, and it's been really awesome.
Great. With the lineups that you're organising at the moment, and Alex, I know that you're announcing in the next week, what is it that you had been looking for within the pool of Kiwi talent for your curating of your lineup?
Well, for us this year, it's about we're celebrating a 10-year anniversary. So firstly, we wanted to bring in as many people as we could that have been part of our journey along the way. That slightly changed due to the COVID restrictions and so forth, because a lot of those acts were international. So it's really important that we focus on New Zealand acts. And something that sticks out for us is beginning of the year, we've been trying to go to as many shows as we can and seeing how bands perform. seen how they perform on stage and seen how they present themselves and how professional they are, because it really does help when an act comes to play on the big stage. You know, they've only got that 45-minute hour slot or whatever, and there's no sort of second chance. And often a big stage is it can be quite a terrifying position for a band that hasn't played there. So you've got to have your act together, because if you don't own the stage, it's going to own you. So we've been looking at bands that have a lot of confidence, not so much their ability around social media or anything like that. I mean, it starts from the band as a unit, and if they're performing well and they're gelling well, that's a really good start.
That's awesome. Well done also for getting out there and seeing all those bands before we went into lockdown. Mitch, what about you? Because you were saying that you're looking to announce in a few weeks as well. What have you been doing to get out there and find the bands for your lined up? How have you been finding them?
We've been getting an exceptional amount of applications, as you can imagine. But I guess it's this whole lockdown thing's allowed us to, or given us the time at least, to dig a bit deeper. I think that's probably been the main thing, is I've made more of a sort of concerted effort to actually read the applications that are coming in and respond to them, which is challenging when you're busy trying to run shows. So I think we're across a lot more. I've done shows in the last couple of weeks that we've sold out, in an hour, with acts that traditionally would sell 50 tickets, and so it's really like blowing my mind the scale of this. Some of these artists that I would have considered to be small opening artists are actually selling 500 or 1,000 tickets at venues in Auckland and around NZ. So it's just been massively positive from that perspective. But we admittedly still have to, with the scale of the festival that we're doing, we still have to work from the top. So our priority was getting those big headliners locked in, and then working backwards from that. So we're now, in the last couple of weeks, have been filling in all those bottom slots and trying to get some diversity across the whole festival. So that's a big part of it, is working out what we need, looking at the lineup and going, oh, all right, we need a surf rock band, and then we go dig deeper into that, or whether it's a drum and bass DJ or whatever it is that's missing when we look at the poster. So we're at a good place now where it's ready to go.
Also, I had a question around diversity that had been sent to me before the seminar. It strikes me that the gap left by the internationals, both in the timetables and talent budgets, presents us with a unique opportunity to take risks, specifically to address the historic and ongoing overrepresentation of white male faces on lineups. What strategies or plans do you have in place to create broader and more representative lineups that better reflect Aotearoa's audiences this year? Hamish and Dylan, can I get you guys to answer that? Well, be the first to answer that question, should I say?
Yeah, of course. I think it's all just about making sure that we're listening to as much music as humanly possible, and making sure that we are across everything that's coming forward. But we have over the last couple of years, we've tried our hardest and tried to really open it up to as many diverse acts as possible. We actually sent a version of our lineup to our designer, like a draft, the other day, and we're looking at well over a third in non-male acts. And that was before we even started to really consider that as something we needed to be thinking about. And I think that it's something that the industry as a whole really needs to take very seriously. It's non-males are normally half of the audience. Do you think that they really want to be staring there looking at males the entire time?
Very much agreed with you there. Clayton, what about for you with the festivals that you're programming?
Well, that's never really been an issue for us, really. We've always had a lot of females on the bill. We've had a lot of non-white males on the bill, and it's without even kind of trying to make that happen. It's just happened. It's not really been a thing for us. we haven't kind of we haven't made it a thing. I mean, we have our second stage is run by mainly females. The stage manager's a female. The front of house person's a female. You know, we have a lot of females playing on that stage, and same with the main stage as well. But and it's our second stage has always been for the last kind of 4 years. It's been run like that, and then our third stage is also run by females, and we've had lots of females on the stage, so it's never been an issue for us. Same with our team. Our team is 50% females, 50% males, and you know, our if you really want to talk about diversity, our festival manager is gay. So, you know, we don't have a diversity issue, I don't think.
Representing ethnic, rainbow, and
Totally,
gender.
yeah. And it's not that we try and do that. It's just how it is. So it's just not an issue for us.
Brian and Naomi, what about with Soundsplash?
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I would say that with the festival and with Brian and Mitch would probably agree that we do have representatives from Māori, Polynesia, women, all kinds. I know that we definitely think of it, but it's always been like that at Soundsplash. There's always been wahine. There's always been a diverse of different stages. And our team is probably 60% Māori or Polynesian woman. And so, yeah, I think that Soundsplash. And we also have a lot of under 18s that work for us as interns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, us guys we can't multitask. So.
Yeah.
But it hasn't really been a metric that we go, on percentages, like how it's kind of sort of portrayed. You you just look at some of the top artists in the country, and they're either Māori, Polynesian, or they're mixed. You know what I mean, women and female. So I tend to book on music first. That's my best money. I book music, and then I guess we do look. All of us, Naomi, myself, Peter, and Mitch, we look through, and then we look at the diversity of how it actually looks as well. So it's not a issue for us, but it's a really good question that was posed to the forum.
Renee, what about you and Live Nation and the festivals that you are looking at?
Yeah, I think it's definitely particular genres. It's way easier to program, particularly gender, and that's male, female, non-binary, anything in certain genres. And in certain genres, I definitely struggle to find that mix that you would have liked to see. But I would be lying if I said it wasn't a focus, because it's definitely a focus for me. Yeah, for us on to have a representation of society as much as possible, and of your audience, and yeah. I mean, there's no percentage to it, but yeah.
We always ran the theory that the what's on the stage should reflect what's in the audience.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good yardstick for us, and we've done it at Allan and also across Laneway. It's I think that's a really good way for us. It's always using that philosophy has always kind of pointed us in the right direction. It's worked out well.
And Mitch, what about for you in Bay Dreams and the other events and tours that you do?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, if you look at our previous headliners, we've had mainly female headliners, Halsey, Cardi B, and the likes, which has been pretty great the last couple of years. We're learning every day. I got involved with Soundsplash a couple of years ago, and it's been pretty inspiring to learn from Brian and Naomi and get a bit of the cultural side and try to bring that into our events, which we're focusing on a lot more this summer across the board, not just in Soundsplash, which is cool. But I guess I'd also like people to keep in mind sometimes that we're trying to book a festival to sell, 50,000 tickets north and south, and so you sort of got to book the music, and you got to try find the right acts, and it's always a challenge in itself to do that. So then you sort of, but then we look at it once we've got this lineup in front of us, and we say, you know, and we try and make the changes we can, but it's not always as easy as it's made out to be, I guess I would say, because it's easy to sit there and say, oh, you need a 50-50 male-female lineup, but the truth of it is there 50-50 is not actually represented out there in male-female musicians. So the real question is, how do we get more female musicians, you know, to give us more options as well? So that's something we're definitely well aware of and conscious of.
To that point, I'd just like to say that last year, me and Lani Perkins put on a all-female festival, Good Milk and Honey. We had over 30 female artists play over 6 venues in 4 cities. So there are actually a lot of female artists out there.
Definitely, yeah. No. Sorry. There are. I'm just saying, comparatively, it's actually the percentages out there at the moment are but basically. Yeah, basically it's a case of what there is to book out there at the time, and we always book. You know, we're trying to get 30,000 people there, so we're looking at what's hot, and we do try to diversify. It's just sometimes a little bit more difficult than it's made out to be.
I've got another question around: have you had to do a lot? Have you had a lot of sponsors pulling out? And do the new sponsors bring a totally new perspective? Mark, can we go to you on that?
Across the touring business, no, we haven't had any sponsors pull out. We've got the same partners we've had pre-COVID, and still working with people like Vodafone and Air New Zealand for sponsorship for going into summer. Looking at things like Sober Reserve and Laneway, and that the reaction's been really strong. So I think if you've still got a strong brand and a proven track record to deliver, it's not so much a concern for us. Everything's been really, really solid so far.
What about you guys, Dylan and Hamish?
Yeah, just following on from Mark, we've had our trusted partners have supported us. I mean, we've had time on our side. I think with our business, we've got 6 or 7 months, so the smoke's going to clear. We've got the bums on seats, we've got the tickets locked in. People are coming. The beverage partners know that they're going to get a good lick of the ice cream. So it's been business as usual. If anything, I think people are excited about our sector, still being able to go ahead at the end of the year, and there may be more interest, I think, across the commercial world to plug into the sector, which has got to be great for everyone.
Gavin, would that be an answer to your budget problems, as like the council getting some more sponsors on? Because when you were talking about your plans, there were a whole lot of messages of people going, no, there'll be bands that will do it for free, and there'll be crew that will donate their time. And I don't think any of us, coming out of the lockdown, want people to work for free. We want to be encouraging people to be paid. So is that something that could help with?
Yeah, sponsorship is definitely something that we look at, and we have a sponsorship person within our own team that goes out there and looks for that. I think it's tougher for my series, whereas a lot of the other festival promoters here can basically let an advertiser know a demographic, an age range, 18 plus, the people they get. Our series is so open-ended, we as our directive and our kaupapa from councillors, we're there to put on shows for all of Auckland. So sometimes it's hard for a single company or a sponsor to have some product or something that will cover everyone. We can't have alcohol, we can't have sugary drinks, we can't have fast food. So we're limited by a certain amount of things again, and then it's trying to find a sponsor that, that is open to the kind of events we do, and, that we can't give them maybe a set demographic on the day. So, yeah, we'll take any money. It's as anyone here would say, everyone is under the same push, even pre-COVID, festivals are getting more expensive, gigs are getting more expensive every single day. So it's, sometimes it's only the corporate sponsorships that help us get over the line.
Gosh, and I think all of us want to tap into that fast food sponsorship, considering the queues that were outside all of those fast food outlets after lockdown. Another question: is it a concern to some of the larger festivals about some of the lineups being a little similar to each other for their summer festivals. And I guess maybe this is directed at the fact that there's probably only a handful of New Zealand acts that you can consider as headliners. So Clayton, is that a concern for you?
Not at all. No, it would be the short answer, and probably the long answer to that would be not at all. Really, we're so fortunate to live in New Zealand and have such an amazing array of music. I mean, New Zealand music is world class. We all know that, and so it's not an issue. I mean, we will be looking at some Aussie acts for Electric Avenue for sure, if that can all go ahead. But it's definitely not a make or break, and that's for sure. So yeah, we're very excited about the lineup we've got, and most of it at this stage is Kiwi, and if it has to be 100% Kiwi, not a problem.
Mitch, your company and your partnerships are involved in a whole range of festivals. So is that something that's of concern to you?
It's definitely been case by case. We have, like I said, we've managed to have some success with Kiwi lineups already, which has been great. Sort of proven with Mardi Gras that it can work at that scale. For Bay Dreams specifically, we feel like to have the wow factor. We've had to go grab the biggest Australian acts that we can, and that's just a part of it. It's the nature of the beast. We're still going to be 90% Kiwi, but just to sort of add that wow factor and to get those big acts on the main stage, we've gone down that route, and we're super confident that it's going to pay off in terms of the ANZ borders opening up. So we're definitely positive.
Renee and Mark, what about you guys, Live Nation festivals and Nameways? I mean, obviously you've announced some headliners already that are touring pre the summer festivals. So is that a concern as well, that those guys will be doing loads of summer festivals, or all of the festivals are going to look kind of similar?
For Laneway, it is a concern because it's always had such a unique lineup. That's how it's kind of got to 12 years, by being different and kind of breaking a lot of stuff early. But it's also really good to see baby acts that we've had do really great things. Like Benny's first festival was Laneway, and she's just sold out an arena and is about to do another one. She sold out 3 in Wellington today, so that kind of success is incredible. But in terms of there is going to be a lot of repeats across summer. So I think the festivals that have a really strong experience, festivals where it's about more, where music is a huge part of it, but it's about a day, it's about, or a trip away in the case of R&V or Soundsplash, where it's more than just buying a $9 beer and standing there and watching someone on stage. Those are the ones that will thrive. But I think of it's kind of like a PA in a car park with the same lineup that's played 3 times. It's going to be tough.
PA in a car park. That's harking back to many moons ago, Mark.
Yeah, I wasn't specifically, but if you want it. Yeah.
Dave, this is a question for you. I'm concerned about venues as the power station that could be too large to handle many local acts. Is there anything in place to help these venues survive? Or do you think they're putting in plans to be able to survive?
Well, I think like Mitch said, he's been surprised by artists that would normally sell 50 tickets that are now selling out venues. So I guess because we're in uncharted waters with a lot of these acts, we just have no idea what's going to happen, which is a massive part of what we all do. Like whenever we put these shows on sale, we're taking a punt. We actually have no idea how they're going to sell. So, as promoters of festivals or tours, the waters are uncharted. I'm not 100% sure if there's any kind of funding or, there's been campaigns with Save Our Venues and, there's all that kind of stuff going on. And I know the government is looking at packages for touring and music. So there is all that kind of stuff going on. But, most venues are just going to be out there trying to book as much as they can. And again, they'll be asking the same questions. Are all these lineups going to be too much for us? Which is a good question, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Do you think then, just leading on from that, do you feel that the summer or the next 6 to 12 months may get too crowded, or is everyone working together in order to not make it too crowded, and so there's not going to be too much competition for the entertainment dollar?
I think at first glance, like I saw a few artists announcing shows, playing in Auckland within weeks of each other, and I was like, wow, that's brave. But I guess we all consider ourselves creative, so I guess it's our job to create a different property for the punter to come to, and the fan to come to. So I guess anyone who's listening out there should be thinking or hoping that all of us as individuals have our own minds and our own thoughts, and that we're thinking creatively about how we might present all these different acts. So 6 to 12 months, we would hope that the borders will be open anyway, and that the international side of the business will start pumping again. But it's probably something that all of us are going to have to continue talking about offline, as to how we navigate what could become a very crowded market. Yeah.
Thanks for that. There's been a question about, are you building any COVID-type precautions into your festival's planning, like social distancing or contact tracing? And I'm guessing currently we're at level 1, so you don't have to worry about social distancing. You do have to, try and build in contact tracing. But I guess within your plans, are you also planning, in case we go back to level 2, in case we go back to level 3, in case the Trans-Tasman bubble doesn't open, is that factoring into considerations? Alex?
Yes, it's a very good question. There's been quite a lot of due diligence done from a couple of representatives from the New Zealand Promoters Association, who have teamed up with the Events Association, the sporting unions, and any large-scale gatherings, and had a direct line with our Minister of Arts, who is also our Prime Minister, to collaborate some form of document, which is a voluntary code of conduct. So that's available to all of the event organisers around New Zealand, from small shows to large festivals to whatever it may be. So inside that document, it's some information about ways you may condone your operation, and how to do that. But the big thing has been an emphasis on contact tracing. So if for whatever reason there happens to be an outbreak at an event, the organisers have some form of tracing people via RFID or ticketing information or phone numbers. So that's been available now for a couple of weeks, and it's in the public domain, so it's common knowledge, and all of us are encouraged to read and understand that, because it is a real threat, and if something does outbreak, we want to be able to share data and information to the Ministry of Health. So there are some processes in place for that now, so it's quite good. We're ahead of the game there, and it's still 20 weeks, give or take, to the end of the year. So a lot can happen in that time. So we're all sort of planning for the best, I suppose.
Exactly. Have faith. Here's a question. Do you think punters may expect lower ticket prices, or that ticket sales for the smaller level events will suffer if most of the acts on the summer circuit can be seen at festivals? Renee, what do you think about that?
I think with some touring, definitely. I think there's going to be some change in ticket prices. I think for festivals, you're still staging, those production costs, you're still wanting to pay, as we've been talking about before. Everyone should still get the same pay as they got for last year, even though you now have a more Kiwi lineup, so it's hard. I don't know what the rest of the panel thinks, but there might be some changes at some festivals. If your lineup is so different, but at the same time, we still want to give everyone a good pay. We want to keep our industry going. I think that's what in everyone's benefit, or how you say it. Yeah.
Hamish and Dylan, what about you guys? Do you think that the punters can expect lower ticket prices for some of your events?
Yeah, I think for our Rhythm and Vines had a fixed price earlier in the year. I think with our side shows, we actually try to make the price quite attractive, just keep it simple. All the artists have been willing to work with us for kind of fair market rates. Some of the suppliers are cutting us deals. Just, everyone wants to get the industry back on its feet. And I think everyone's working really well at the moment, agents, promoters, even our media partners, to, just lubricate these shows and get them to market. And, hopefully on the other end, the punters have got money in their pockets. They've still got, jobs to go back to, and they can, pay for their entertainment, and we can all get back to, promoting more shows. So, yeah, I think you'll see the industry recalibrated on ticket price, and it'll be accessible for everyone.
And in terms of the festival, like with our programming, we need to stop looking at this New Zealand bubble as a negative. This isn't a negative thing. We're not shortchanging anyone. It's everybody is going to have incredible slots. They're going to be incredible bands. Like, just because they're not from overseas doesn't mean that's a bad thing. And we need to stop looking at it like it is.
Absolutely. The successes of so many local artists, and how many artists are selling out, like Spark Arena, etc., just shows that there's an appetite out there and to support, local artists. Now, I've had many questions on this, so I'm going to dedicate the last quarter of an hour to this, because I'm going to go to you individually, because there have been a lot of questions around how can artists apply to be on your festival. Are you still looking for artists? And also, when I come to you, can just maybe give out some tips of what artists should be doing in order to be considered for your festivals or tours. And Dave, I'll start with you.
Hello again. So we're not predominantly a festival promoter. We're a promoter of concerts and tours. I guess for us, we have our thumb or our finger on the pulse anyway. We're watching the charts. We're talking to labels. We're talking to radio stations, to media partners. So everyone on this panel is constantly looking for those acts that are coming through. Like Mitch said, when you're putting on these tours or these festivals, these concerts, there's a massive amount of risk. So first and foremost, like, we always start at the top, obviously, and you work your way back. I think you just got to, when we roll a tour out, you can see who the promoter is. Most of those promoters have websites or social media, which you can message through, which is probably a good way to start. New Zealand is a really small country and everybody knows everybody. So I think it's just about talking to the right people and asking questions, being proactive in your approach. Writing great music, writing great songs always helps, because at the end of the day, we're all commercial businesses, and this is how we feed our families. So your music, your art, we love it. What else, man? I think that's probably it, really, for me.
Thanks so much for that, Dave. Alex, I know that you've already sorted your lineup, so you're no longer open for any people to pitch you, but there is always next New Year's Eve. So what can people do to get your attention, and around about what time do you start looking to put together your lineup?
Smash the stage up.
Literally.
A really great performance really is seeing a band or act or whatever it may be, and coming out and still thinking about it days later and how it affected you is really good. It's just, for me, it comes down to having a really tight performance, a good sound, well rehearsed, and we're always looking years in advance of acts. Sometimes we see a young act or we hear of a vibe going on. Some of my peers in the industry may say, have you heard of or have you seen? We're always researching, we're asking our demographic, we're asking, the younger people, 18 plus, what are they like? What bands are, they into, or what DJs they're into, and because we don't have all the answers, and it's good to listen to people and give them what they want. And we're out seeing as many shows as we can when they're going. So it's really important for whatever act you are to reach out and not give up. It's and invite people to come and see your show. And sometimes if they don't come, it's not a personal thing. Maybe they just can't make it. But we try to look, first and foremost, a really good product, because that's what we want to present on a bigger platform.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Alex. Mitch, what about you?
Yeah, I'd like to encourage acts to do something that wows promoters and take the risks. I think now's the time. They're going to get the numbers to the shows. I'll say that as a promoter, we'll always hear if an act sells out a venue. You sort of, oh yeah, that's the band that sold out Neck of the Woods. That's the band that sold out Studio, and then it sort of puts them into a category and adds a lot of value, because when they send the application, you see the name and you have that sort of relationship there already. So I would just encourage acts to get out there and take the risks and do something impressive and do something different. You don't have to, even if it's a small venue, but it's super. I'm looking at a band at the moment that's been going at me for like over a year, 4 or 5 applications, and I finally just had a chance to listen to the music. I was like, man, this is amazing. So I think it's just don't give up. Essentially, it's you just got to find a way to make something good and get it in front of us. But like I said, the positive now is that we've got the time to actively review these applications a bit more as well. So that's been great for me the last few weeks.
Is there a fine line though between being in, like constantly contacting you and being a little bit stalkish and annoying?
There is the biggest fine line. I've got to be careful what I say, because I say persistence, but you actually, you don't want to be annoying. So it's a fine balance. But I think there is a way to do that, and it's up to the artist to figure that out. You got to very strategically sort of have your in, and there are many ways, and I'll repeat that it's time to get creative, I think.
Great, thanks for that. Mark, what about you?
Look, for Laneway anyway, we've always kind of prided ourselves on giving a lot of acts their first go, and it's their first festival of finding them early. So, I'm not the guy in Whammy Bar at 2 a.m. anymore, that we have other people attached to the festival go out, but we've always had the philosophy that we don't book a band unless someone from the team has seen them. So that's something, we really, really believe in, whether it's to 10 people at the wine cellar or opening for one of Renee's acts or one of Dave's acts on a tour somewhere or something like that. It's, and echoing what a lot of the people have said already, it's having a reputation to have something kind of buzz behind you. But for us, we're a part of a very specific part of the Auckland community. So, we have a responsibility to draw from that to find acts as well. So we're really proactive, or else Laneway couldn't exist and work in the way that it does, because it's not going to get the support. And, those bigger bands aren't going to come because they're not going to want to be a part of it. So for us, it's always been a huge part of the fabric of Laneway. So it's, it's for any band that's out there making interesting, weird kind of left to center music, we're all about it.
That's awesome. Really good. I mean, and what do you mean you're not at Whammy Bar at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Not as much as I used to be anyway. I did see you at Whammy Bar close to 2 a.m. last week. Good to see Renee was also there. Yeah.
Well done. Well done. Dylan and Hamish, what about you guys?
It sounds really stupid to say it out loud, but, it's just like that extra thing where you just walk away from seeing them and you just go, fuck, that was cool. Sorry, excuse my language. But look, we're constantly looking for bands, like full time. It's our job, it's our passion. Like there's very rarely there's someone that we haven't heard of. It's just, about when is it your moment to do this? Like Hamish and I were talking about this before, like, is it that person's year? Like, is everything else falling into place for it to, for it to work?
Yeah, keeping busy, being seen. And just all the classics, being polite, being professional, working with other people that are professional, and having a good team around you. I guess just an update on where we're at in our process. Yeah, tickets have been selling, but we're we're kind of halfway through probably our booking process, getting our headliners in place. So yeah, we still have time at our end to be assessing opportunities. I mean, Rhythm and Vines is unique. To some extent, it's a party. People are there to have fun, let their hair down. We don't tend to kind of look at the kind of shoegazing, chin stroking side of the industry. We're there to entertain. So that's why, you know, the party music, the bass music's worked really well, the hip hop over the years. But yeah, we want to continue to support Kiwi music. So send us your interest and we'll get back to you.
And the thing that Mark said before, but this was about kind of like programming for like the audience. For us, it is also for our age demographic. Like if you're a shit hot killer 18-year-old band, we want to see that. Like that's awesome. Like we're gonna go to see like Park Road and Arlo Mac, and there's a Tuesday like this weekend. Like that's the thing. We're just gonna go to gigs, find bands, play shows, do cool shit. I'm rambling now, but that's the whole thing.
No, that's great. Thanks so much, guys. Brian and Naomi, what about you?
Unmute. Well, we're both music lovers, and our business partners are as well. So, just like everyone else, we're always on the hunt for new music, and we're always listening to music. Naomi programs Freedom Stage, that's all up and coming acts. That's a stage that introduced a couple of years ago. So yeah, there's a lot of scope for young up and coming artists. So
Yeah, that's from, I think this year the youngest I had was 13, did a DJ set and packed it. And then, you know, yeah, it's a good stage. I really recommend emailing me your interest. A lot of cultural acts are on that stage as well.
It's quite diverse.
So a diverse stage.
Yeah. And one thing I'd like to say for artists is, practice your stuff. Just like get it down. Just echoing what everyone else is saying. It's like, you know, when a band's like well rehearsed and they can just deliver. You just want impact, really.
Great, thanks for that. Gavin, you have a slightly different situation, don't you? You have an application process.
Yeah, we have an application process that will be online from hopefully next week, which we do every year, which is really good. And I mean, also now that we're kind of in a lucky position in Auckland Council that we have, in my team alone, we have Rowan Johnson, who's a well-established, you know, touring production person, Hos Mavaenga from Christchurch and Auckland, the music scene. We've got Jen Rivers and Bobby Kennedy out in OMAC and stuff. So we have a really good strong of musical people internally in council. So we're all kind of keeping across bands and sharing bands with each other. And then, looking at a lot of the youth bands that come through our Stand Up, Stand Out program. And we're kind of lucky in that space that I can book one or two youth bands as well as, you know, a more established act. So we're utilizing that and really pushing that going ahead, trying to create a bit of a bridge between the Smoke-Free Rock Quest and school bands and the music industry. So, you know, while we have that ability, I think it's our job to do that, you know, and get the bands ready so then they can go to all these other promoters, you know, in a year's time and take the next step. So, I mean, I think with talking to bands so far, I think the best advice I can give is, you know, be nimble, like a lot of us in the industry have had to be, you know, kind of if your yearly plan was already to go and things change, you've got to learn how to shift, you know, make a backup plan. We've all got plans in case, you know, COVID returns and we have to change. So it's just I keep thinking today if it was that Jimmy Christmas Luger Boss on Mutate or Die. And I think that's kind of the metaphor, you know, it's like you just have to be ready if you've got downtime, utilize it. If you've suddenly got a chance to go out and play a gig, book a gig this weekend, do something. Just, don't waste time thinking about something. Take a chance, take a punt, get some friends. You know, I've been telling people who've kind of, even like crew people sitting around, you know, who were waiting for gigs or things to come up saying, look, just go back to what you did 10 years ago. Book Grayland Hall, put on a 5-band for $5. You know, you're 10 years older than you were, but just do something, create a buzz again. Because this whole thing has kind of brought back a very DIY feeling. You know, there's bands doing albums in their bedrooms. I finished half an album with my band in my home studio and we all did separately. There's people doing live tours, there's all kinds of things. So the energy is there, the buzz is there, the artism is there, you know, artistry is there. So I think it's just keep going. It's easy to be discouraged when the whole world is looking doom and gloom, but as you can see, everyone here today is pushing ahead. No one has been, has kind of stepped back and thrown up their hands yet. So I think New Zealand is a good country. We are small enough that we can pivot, be nimble, adapt. Overseas, there's a lot of promoters that don't talk to each other, but as you can see from here, there's a lot of people that chat to each other, friends, don't feel, like it is a competitive as it is, even though we are in the same marketplace. But so yeah, just keep on rocking.
Oh, that's great advice, Gavin. Thank you so much. And I agree. Like, I think we're very blessed to be in an industry that is willing to work with each other, and throughout this whole COVID situation have united and have really worked together, towards a positive solution. Renee, over to you. What advice can you give to bands to get on any of your festival lineups or support tours? And when do you start looking?
I think aside from what everyone else has already said, when you do get the email or the application or whoever, send in everything that it shouldn't be like a page long, but definitely get all your links in there, images, your best video clip, whatever. Like, it should be really easy. Don't send one thing or just your name, because we're usually busy people, so we like to click through straight away. And as far as booking, I think with headliners, I think we're mostly already thinking the year that you're doing it, you're already thinking, this is who I'd like to see next year on the stage. And I think headliners are obviously often the first, sort of in the maybe the 2-3 months after your show or your festival. That's the first, but I think around about now, 6 months out, you're starting to get to the smaller acts as well, and finalize everything 4 months out sort of thing. You'll have a few slots open, but yeah, so if 2 months out, you're often too late. So if you're a smaller act, maybe between 3 and 6 months, that's probably the good spot. yeah.
So people should be coming to you early next year then, when you're planning summer 2022.
For headliners, yes. Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely. I think everyone you're going a year, especially with the bigger festivals. You go a year to 2 years ahead already. Yeah.
Cool. And finally, Clayton, what about you? What is it that you look for in bands when you're programming a lineup, and what tips can you give to people?
I look for excitement. Like Alex said, excitement on stage. Smashing up the stage really, and also look for something, like I said before, something new that people don't necessarily know, and and bands that we can definitely give a shot to. Give their first shot. And I think, it sounds like everyone's sort of in, most of us are in that position where we do have that space, for bands to have a shot. But I think just, a real important thing is, what has that band been doing? How hard have they been working? How much are they practicing? What shows have they done? What stats have they got? But stats isn't always the main thing. I think if I have booked bands before just by going and not know, just heard of that band, gone and seen them, and just been like, whoa, I'm booking that band just for that main reason, because I think they're awesome and they put on an epic show, and I never heard of them before. And then and it's been proven too, because I have done that with bands, and they've come and played, and they've been, people have been so impressed with them that we've actually booked them back the following year or the year after that. And they've either come and played on the smaller stage and then to the main stage, or back on the smaller stage again. But we've done it because we know that that stage is going to be like rammed with people, because of people that saw them last time and the chat that there was around them afterwards. So I just think the main thing is, what sort of show can you put on? and how tight are you?
That seemed to be the running theme through all of you guys' answers. So all you bands out there, practice, go play live, fill up those venues, and start pitching to these guys. That is all we have got time for. I really want to give a big thanks to all of you guys for taking part in tonight's hui. I know that you're all really busy, you're getting your summers organised, so I appreciate you taking time out from your very busy schedules. And I also want to thank Wairi from Kudos, Dylan from IMNZ, Lorraine, Sarah and Grace from the MMF for their help with putting on this hui. Thanks to you all for joining us, and this will be up still on the Music Managers Forum Facebook page and YouTube if you want to watch it later, or let other people know that have missed out that they can watch it. So thanks again to you all.